So, hi, I'm Susie from Women's Fight News, and today I'm joined by boxing presenter Ali Drew. So, thank you very much for joining me. And how are you?
Yeah, you're welcome. And I'm good. I'm just excited. Boxing is obviously taking off at the moment. It's back, and it is back full on. So, yeah, I'm really good. How are you?
Yeah, no, great. Yeah, the same. Excited, and obviously it's the big fight this weekend as well.
Yes, in Headingley, in Leeds. Yeah.
That's a good one, and I'll probably talk into it a bit more in depth later on because I want to ask you about your opinions on some of the fights. But I wanted to congratulate you on your new Dazn role, and obviously you've already worked at Fight Camp, but congratulations.
Thank you. Yes, yeah, it's quite a big one really to get. And yeah, the fight camps are amazing to work at. I didn't go to them last year. I didn't work at them last year, and I just was desperate to go. So to actually be able to work at them this year was amazing. It was such an incredible experience.
I went to week 2, and it really was just a lovely atmosphere, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was like a festival. It was really nice. The weather before the event started was every week poured down, and then as soon as the fight started it just went off, and it was fine every week. So yeah, it was really good.
And obviously you've been a familiar face in the boxing scene for a while. So for people that don't know much about you, what got you into boxing? What made you? When did you discover your love for boxing?
So I've always watched boxing because my dad is into boxing, used to box, and when we grew up we were always watching boxing. So I've always watched it. And then when I was 18 I became a ring girl. So I was doing that for of course quite a long time, about 10 years I ring girled for. And then I also did sports and exercise science at uni and did my presenting, sorry my dog is just barking, did my presenting training as well alongside that. So then I knew the only interest I had really was sports. I knew I loved boxing, and I just sort of put the 2 and 2 together, and yeah, and it just sort of grew from there.
Yeah, and you have your own channel as well.
Yes, Sportology.
Yeah, so it's and not just boxing, is it? Other sports.
Yeah, we do football and UFC as well. So yeah, we cover a few different sports. The boxing's obviously like the main passion for both of us actually. But we do like football and we cover UFC as well. So
and we were just chatting before I started the interview that I didn't realise you live in Wales.
Yes, in Newbridge, yeah, middle of nowhere, but yeah, and you do, which is bizarre because not many people do.
That's it. We didn't realise how close we were to each other.
I know.
And did you grew up in Wales then? Did you? Or?
I came to Wales for uni, so I moved to Wales for uni. I've moved around quite a lot because I'm Scottish originally. So I have moved around quite a lot. But I grew up in the Forest of Dean in Gloucestershire. So moved around a bit.
So I was the same actually. I moved to Wales from uni because I went to Cardiff Uni. So but I grew up in Cornwall, so other end.
Okay, yeah.
And looking at your social media, I see that you post a lot about your dog, and I understand you do a fashion sort of some fashion items for pets.
Yeah, some dog clothing, which is a bit random. You couldn't get any more random really, but yeah, I basically set it up because I'm obsessed with my dog. I just wanted to be with him all the time, and I used to dress him up all the time, and I had all these ideas of like little outfits that he could wear and that didn't really exist. So I set up this dog clothing company called Animal Attire, and then it's all done online. Got an online website. He must have known we were talking about him. He's just arrived, and and then it's good actually. It's just really nice. Everyone, if it's to do with their dogs, everyone's just happy. Yeah, he's just here now. People are just happy, and like it's just nice to get to do something with him really, because obviously he does all the modeling, and if we go to events, obviously he comes with me. He's trying to get in the screen. So yeah, that's why I set that up.
That's nice because it's like it's great that you've got a career out of all your passions. You love your dog, you've got your career from that, and obviously the boxing.
Yeah, I think I'm a bit of a workaholic, so everything that I'm passionate about just turns into work. That's more what it is. I'm a workaholic.
So obviously I wanted to talk to you about women's boxing, because being a women's fight channel, I wanted to specifically go into that. So I'm going to go straight in with a big question as to who in the world do you think's the pound for pound number one?
I mean, I don't think there's a question that at the moment it's Katie Taylor. I just don't think that what she's done, amateur and pro, I just don't think there's any comparison. She's a brilliant, I mean, she's fighting on Saturday, which is going to be great. She's just a brilliant role model. I think what she's achieved is amazing. She will fight anyone. Like, she doesn't back off from a fight. She wants to fight. People are gunning for her. You know, everyone is calling her out in different divisions. They're saying they want Katie Taylor, and she doesn't shy away from any of it. She will happily take a fight with anyone. And yeah, and I think she's just by an absolute mile the best.
That takes us nicely on to, like you're saying, she's fighting this weekend in Leeds against Jennifer Ham. How do you see that fight going?
Well, I think it's great because she's a Leeds United fan, which I think is just brilliant. So she'll get quite a reception, I imagine. I think it's going to be probably one of the easier fights she's had in the last 12 months. She's been really active in the last year, but I think this will probably be one of the easiest wins for her. Although it's a tough competitor, but she's moving up a weight. And I just think compared to the fights that she's had with Natasha Jonas, I thought was an unbelievable fight. And Natasha Jonas, I really, really highly rate. So I think, yeah, this will probably be one of the more comfortable wins for her compared to what she's had of recent.
Yeah, she's had some tough fights, hasn't she?
Yeah, she has. I mean, the Jonas fight was just an unbelievable fight. It was close. It was really tough. And yeah, she's obviously had the rematch before that. That was another tough one. She's had some tough fights, which I like. She doesn't shy away from that. You know, she doesn't have walkover fights. She really does. She does have tough fights.
And like you said, they're all clamouring to fight her because, I mean, obviously lots of people are now, because Amanda Serrano fought recently, so they're saying Serrano versus Taylor. But obviously we've got Rick Ramos and Jessica McCaskill who've turned up in Leeds for the weekend.
Yeah, I've heard that they're coming. Yeah, I've heard that.
Yeah.
So, I think the McCaskill fight would be good to see. I think that would be good. And yeah, and Amanda, any of them sort of super fights, real super fights, I think it's just good to see. And the fact is that the women, if these fights do happen, the women are showing the guys how to do it. That if there's a big fight to be had, just do it. Like, you know, you talk so often in the you know, that this big fight should happen, and they don't ever happen, or they happen too late. But I think the women's game, they're just going to do it. I don't think there's going to be any talk about it. So I think they're paving the way.
Definitely. Yeah, I think that's what's great, because obviously with the women's side, there isn't as many, you know, it's growing. So there perhaps isn't the depth in some of the divisions. But like you say, because of that, you've got the benefit of they will fight each other because there's not as many options.
Yeah, definitely. And that is one of the good things about having less depth, is there's less choice. So you have to take the fight and that's it. Which I just think the best should fight the best. I think in boxing in general, that's should be what happens. And due to politics, it doesn't always happen. But yeah, if that can happen, and that's one of the advantages of not having as much depth at the moment, because it's still growing, then I'll take it.
And the other fight in Leeds is Ebanie Bridges, who's against Mailys Gangloff. So how do you see that fight going?
I just love Ebanie Bridges. I think I've just never come across someone who is so good at self-promotion. She's basically lost a world title fight, but couldn't have come off any better from it. She was very, very tough in that fight. But it's almost as if she won it. It was almost as if she was the winner of that. She's pushing herself. She's getting good fights. She's getting out often. She's active, And I think it'll be another good performance. I mean, her performance against Connolly last time, I didn't expect to stop her. I didn't think she was going to stop her. And Bet Connolly doesn't really get stopped very often. So I was impressed, and I think she'll put on another impressive performance this weekend. But yeah, I rate her the way, what she does at the weigh-ins. I just think it's different, and I think it's brilliant. I really like her.
Definitely. It's great. It's the message that she's sending out. Just literally be yourself, do what you want. She's not afraid to be herself, and I think that's a great message.
Yeah, she's not, she gets a lot of stick about the fact that she wears lingerie at the weigh-ins and the way she is. But I just think she doesn't care, she doesn't care about that. And I just think that's brilliant. You need every type of person in a sport like this. In the men's side of it, you have every type of personality. You have people who are very relaxed, people who are very aggressive, people who are very quiet. And I think it should reflect in the women's side as well. You should get, the ones who don't want to wear lingerie at the weigh-in, which is absolutely fine, but then allow the ones who want to do it and to boss it, and to, people are talking about her, and that's why she's doing it, and it's working.
That's it. Yeah, no, she's very clever.
Yeah, definitely.
Also, the other exciting news that's sort of come out recently that I didn't expect to be announced at this point was all the fighters that have suddenly signed with Sky Sports, so under sort of the Boxer promotion. And I just couldn't believe it when they all started rolling out, saying how it was Georgina O'Connor, we've got April Hunter, Ebanie Jones, Caroline Dubois, Savannah Marshall, and Clarissa Shields.
Yeah,
all going to be fighting on Sky Sports.
Yeah, I mean, it's nice to see that they are signing a lot of women fighters. That's good to see. I'm excited to see Caroline Dubois as a pro now. I think she's amazing, and I'm excited to see what she's going to do. But the fact that they've signed Savannah Marshall and Clarissa Shields is just so unexpected, but like amazing, because that fight needs to happen. I didn't think the fight was going to happen, but now I actually think it will, and I think we need to see it. I think it's been a long time coming. Obviously, they fought as amateurs, and Savannah won. So I'm excited to see that fight. I want it. I want to see that fight.
It's going to be a mega fight.
I know. I'm so excited. I'm a big Savannah Marshall fan. Clarissa Shields is brilliant. Sorry, my dog. But I really rate Savannah Marshall. I think she's technically one of the best. When you watch her, she's so technically good, and I just can't wait for that fight. There's a lot of beef, a lot of build up to it. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that one when it happens.
Definitely. Is there any sort of up and coming female boxers that you've got your eye on that you think? I mean, you've obviously mentioned Caroline Dubois, but any others that you've got your eye on that you think are going to go far in the sport?
Yeah, do you know what? There's loads. There's so many up and coming female fighters now that it's just so exciting. They're sort of on the fringes. You've got like Ellie Scottney. I think she's in the process of possibly getting a fight soon. We haven't seen her for a while, but she's exciting to watch. You've got what I notice in every gym now with the sort of trainers, when you see a group of fighters coming out, there's a female fighter in each gym, and I really like that, because it's just popping up everywhere. They're signing with promoters are listening, and they're signing female fighters, which I just think is exciting. Like, I worked at a few of the Fight Zone stuff, and that they've got they've had a lot of female fighters on there. Stevie Levy was on there, Hannah Bagley, Hannah Rankin. Although Hannah Rankin is not up and coming, she's like well established. But yeah, there's so many to name. You've got Rhiannon Dixon, who's training, she trains alongside Tasha Jonas, so I think she'll be very good. There's just so many. I just think it's a really exciting time to be a female fighter.
Definitely. And you're right about Fight Zone. It's been quite exciting. How many shows they're putting on, and like you say, featuring all these female fighters that unfortunately haven't had much of a chance to come out over the COVID period.
Yeah, I mean, COVID's just been an absolute nightmare. It's just amazing that the shows the Smallville shows are coming back and thick and fast. To be honest, they're on just all the time at the moment, which is brilliant. But yeah, it's just good to see, because it must have been such a difficult time for, especially the up and coming fighters, people who've just turned over. It must have just been a really, really difficult time. So yeah, I'm excited to see what's going to happen.
I have to ask you, because it's the question that everyone asks in women's boxing, is the rounds. 2 or 3 minutes. What's your opinion on that?
I think 3 minutes, if it will help the pay to be equal, if that's the issue, whatever the issue is. I mean, and I've spoken to quite a few female boxers about it, and they would be okay with 3 minutes. They don't necessarily want a 2-minute round. A lot of them want 3-minute rounds. So I think it should just be the same, unless there's a physical reason as to why it would need to be 2-minute rounds, which I don't think there is. I think that it would be good. The only thing that would worry me is that you always see really, really exciting fights because they've only got 2 minutes to do something. So a lot more happens. It's a lot less cagey and a lot more happens. So I wouldn't want that to change, as in, there's an extra minute so we can do a bit less, or suss each other out. I wouldn't want that to change, because when there's a female fight on the card, it's often the fight of the night. It almost always steals the show. So that's what I wouldn't want to happen, is to that to be lost. But yeah, I think 3-minute rounds, and if they get to equal pay, like the same level as the men get in comparison to who it is, it's never going to be equal pay. The men aren't equal. It doesn't work like that. But what I mean is, just if it means more equality, then yes, 3-minute rounds.
Well, it's been great to chat to you.
And to you.
And I look forward to your coverage on Saturday at the fight.
Yes, and possibly see you there if you're going.
Yes. Yeah, definitely. I'm going to be there supporting Ebanie. So yeah, hope to see you there.
Brilliant. Thank you.
Brilliant. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Thank you for watching. And if you enjoyed the video, please hit like. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss any future content. And why not check out any other videos on the channel? You can follow Women's Fight News on Twitter, Instagram and Facebook.